Okay, good morning. I want to go over the weekend's sheets on Saturday that went by on the, what was it, the 17th. Okay, I've been asked many questions about what happened on Saturday and my thought processes that I go through when I'm betting on these sheets. And, it was one of those days where it was, again, we passed on some winning races, and the races that we played in, we lost. And, again, I keep saying this, no one gets more frustrated than I do about this, but sometimes, I'll keep going on about it. The percentages sometimes work against you. That's what happens sometimes when you're doing multiple sheets like we are. You're going to get days where you're going to just keep winning and winning and winning. And then you're going to get days where you have to sit there and watch races where, unfortunately, you have the winner, but you can't back them because of prices and the way things are. Now, let's just quickly go through the sheet. I won't keep anybody too long. Race 1 was obviously a pass. The reason why that race was a pass, I didn't like the race. I'd had actually done the actual trials. The winner I actually did like. I thought it wasn't bad, but just there was a feel about it that I didn't like, so that's why I passed on the race. Okay, so we go to race 2, and we had it was our first bet of the day. Again, it was the highway race. Now, with these highway races, they are lotteries. The thing is with them, there's just a combination of all the country runners. They get down there. What happens with this particular race is you actually got to follow the money. It's like betting on a Monday. So when you're betting on these highway races, think your head needs to be like the Monday mentality. You got to literally sit there and watch what the markets are doing. Okay, the markets will always tell you who's going to be the winner in this race. I guarantee you of that. So this winner here, they backed it in from 12-1 into 8-1 or whatever it was. So, I had a look at that runner because I saw it the night before, and I had to make case for it. I made no case for it whatsoever. And it's just, unfortunately, we've had not bad success from this race. We've had some really, really big winners, and, everything was right to bet. We had the 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like having 5 picks in it as well. So that's another thing that I didn't like. See, and this is, again, you need to see there's a pattern. When I have multiple sheets on a thing, please, don't think that's a good thing. That's actually a really bad thing. So if you were to do this on your own, all right, I want to give you an example. A lot of people ask me, how does he bet? What's he thinking? All right, when you read what I read here, the highway race, always the hardest race on the card. These runners on top. I've got 5 picks. All right, that's not a good sign. That means that I'm so undecided that the numbers are just so tight, and these were obviously the best rated runners on the amongst the field. But then what you do with this particular race, just follow the markets. All right, if you see a runner that's on our sheet that's been backed, well then obviously go for it. But if you start seeing signs of distress on all our runners, pull out. Trust me. That pot was 108% pot. But if you look at all our runners on the sheet, you'll have a look. Number 4, all right, massive blower. Look, $31. So in Sydney, on a Sydney Metro, when you see big blowers, pull out. Especially this particular race. All right, number 7. It was around the mark, 11-1. Number 11, okay. Again, it wasn't a blower, but it was solid. It was around the market. Number 12, I thought watching this race, this thing was blowing. All right, Betfair was 850. It didn't. There was not much support for it. Okay, and then we had the 15. I think that was a relatively blower. So the money horses always generally win here. All right, because as I said, they're country trained. The trainers, they're all big. Not big bettings, but they're all they bet on their runners because it's a good source of income for them. Most of these trainers make money on the punt. Anyway, so we go to race 3. this was our second betting race of the day, and I think here, race 3, yeah, we got second. And this is the thing sometimes, again, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's okay. We had 4 runners plus the emergency. I think purple sector, that's one of the favourites won this particular race. And then now we're looking at races where we're going, okay, we've had 2 bets, we're 0 from 2. All right. And, the highway race was a race that it could have been, if I was to go over it again and had followed the markets carefully, I should have aborted. I should have passed on this race. But just for people to understand, that's when I pass, when I have those many picks, and it's that type of race where I go, okay, well, what do I do here? Again, when in doubt, just pull out. We had a bet, we didn't get anything in the highway, and then in race 3, we were a bit stiff. We got second. The winner, we got second to the favourite, and I saw that thing there, and I did have it slightly rated, but I couldn't accept its price. We had it rated at about $7.50, so I thought anything below $6.50 was a poor price. So $4.50, poor, and we obviously got second. Okay, race 4. Okay, this was a race where I passed. Okay, there was a couple of reasons why I passed. Number 2, we got it matched. Okay, number 9, we had the 9 got matched, and number 12 newsreader. Okay, so there was it? No, number 11, we had newsreader. So we had 1, 2, 3 picks. Now, when I did the race itself, we had Forbidden Love as our emergency runner. Now, what happened with Forbidden Love was it was a blower, and I thought, oh, what do we do here? What? And then I looked at the 2, and I thought, you're another blower. All right. So again, I made the call what I was seeing on the markets, and I thought that this winner was probably rock solid in the betting, and there was another one here, this bargain, that I was actually worried about. Now, when I looked at the race itself, I thought there's 2 things here. We include the winner, but then that was in my opinion, it was a blower. So again, I'm sitting here live, and I have to make a call, and there was nothing wrong with the data. Everything was telling me, this is not a bad race. But sometimes you when you're doing the markets, okay, it throws you out. Markets are not designed to help you. All right, and they have the ability to read the market is you're halfway home. If you can read what the markets are doing and get it correct, okay, as I said, if you get it correct 70% of the time, you are halfway home. Now, this particular race, it was pure market call. It had nothing to do with the sheets. It was a pure market call, and I've made many of these calls, and many of these times I've actually got it right. This particular race, I got it wrong. Because on a Sydney Saturday Metro, I don't like to see massive blowers. Now, you might say, oh, that wasn't a massive blower. Well, in my eyes, it was. It was $4.50 out to $6.50, and at Betfair, it was $7. Now, in Victoria, I like seeing that. In New South Wales, I don't like seeing that. I thought here the money horse was definitely on the 4, because it was steady the whole way through. $5. Look at that, all across the lines. It was 5. I thought that was the winner right there. And I wasn't prepared to have a bet. And then there was something I didn't like about the 2. I thought it was going off in the markets, and it was, in my opinion. Obviously, we had the 11. Now, it's quite easy to go, oh, you should have had a bet. No, because in the past, I've made the right calls on these particular races. It had nothing to do with the data. It had all to do with the markets. That is the thing where anyone that's listening to this has to understand. It's when you're sitting there and you're listening to, and you're following what I'm doing. All right, there's a method to what I'm trying to do. It's not, oh, he doesn't trust his data. That's the one thing that I want everybody to get out of their heads. I don't trust my data, and how accurate it is ratings. Well, you can see how accurate the ratings are. You don't have to be Einstein to work out that we're finding the winners. There's a winner there. But you have to make a call that's reflecting of what the market's doing. And sometimes you can't ignore the markets. There are times when I don't follow the markets. I just completely ignore them. But on this particular race, I did. So it's a race-to-race thing. It's not, it's not something that I'm just sitting here, oh, well, I'm just going to pass on this race because I just want to pass on the race. No, I'm the one that's sitting here doing hours and hours of the ratings. So, after the fact is always easy. Before the fact is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the results. And as I said, I passed on the race because I was looking at the markets, and the markets told me to pull out. And that's the only reason why I passed on this race. Okay, so we go to race 5. This was the big race. Now look, this particular race here, I passed because again, you're going to see something. This is going to where the market watch does work in our favour. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But when I did the markets, they did not want to go past this number 14, and I actually made commentary about it. So in one hand, we passed on race 4, and we got the winner, but the winner was actually an emergency runner, so we wouldn't have really got the winner, okay, because everything else had matched. As you know, you only had the emergency runners. You can add the emergency runner if you want, if you could still make pot. But in that race there, we had the 3 runners all matched. So, the one won without us even being on it. But this particular race was a pure market watch race again, right? I wanted to see signs of sickness with the 14. I never saw it. Okay. Here, wow, what a lottery run. We're on drop number 14. The runner is definitely rated, but awful price, and we take it on. Now, you'll read that and you go, oh, why didn't he take it on? Well, because the markets told me not to take it on. You know what I mean? And that's where I use the markets watch for my advantage. All right. And like I said, we're basically, 2 from 2 correct calls, because we didn't forget about the forbidden love was on the sheet. It was a sub runner. So I've passed on 2 races that were correct calls, because had we bet in that race, forbidden love wouldn't have been on the sheet. Okay, now again, this sometimes you read there, you go, oh, he's contradicting. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm overriding what I'm saying, because if I saw sickness with number 14, trust me, okay, it's a bet, but it wasn't. There was look at this, $2. This thing never, ever, ever, ever at any point showed any signs of sickness. This is what I mean by when I say I need to see sickness. I needed to see this thing where Betfair. All right, I needed to see. This thing was drifting. It was not, look at this, $1.95. They never ever once moved this thing. It was hovering around the $2.20, $2 at best. That was the only horse that they wanted. Now, it was luckily, we got second to it. Actually, if we look at that race there, we got second, third, fourth. So it was the correct call pulling out of the Kosciuszko. Whatever you want to call it. So we go to race 6. And we have a look here. Race 6, where are we at? Okay. The winner here was Trumbull. Now, again, I passed on the race because of several reasons. Look at the 1. Okay, it was an emergency runner anyway. Okay. The pot was 86%. The 2, we got it matched. The 3 was matched. That was the problem for me. The 4, I didn't like its price. Okay, that we'll go over that for a moment. And then there's number 7. They got matched. Now, when I was sitting here looking at the race, all right, I was looking at the 1, the 2, and the 4. Now, again, when I was watching the markets, all right, I didn't like what I was seeing with the 1 and the 2, okay, and the 4. I needed more money for the 4. Like, we wanted 465, and the best this thing hit, all right, and forget about what happens in the last 30 seconds. We're not betting the last 30 seconds. It was $384 the whole way. Now, when I adjusted the price of this thing, we were looking at a 67% pot, and then I wanted more money for the 2. And again, forget about the 550 that you're seeing there. That horse was not 550. We were looking at a horse there. We wanted 588. Now, I again did the calculations. If I took You got to remember, I've got to send out a message 2 or 3 minutes before the race. Now, 3 or 4 minutes before the race, or 5 minutes before the race, this thing was 450, 480. It's not. I'm not taking a dollar under for this for the 2, nor was I going to take unders for this. So I passed on the race. Plus, I didn't like the betting. I was looking at the markets going, I don't like this. Something stinks about this race. So that's now 3 races that I've made a market call, and we got it right again. We got it right. And this is what happens when I'm sitting here watching the markets and doing what I'm trying to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that we've got to sit here and back every winner. I'm saving you more money on the bad bets. Now, that would have been another loss. Now, can you imagine if I had, let's just say, taken under money for the unders under for the 2 and for the 4? We're now betting in probably about a 62% pot. Toxic. Absolutely toxic. All right? So now that's 3 races in a row where we have saved ourselves money. Okay, and that's how you always got to look at it. Okay, now, race 7. Okay, this to be honest, if I had this race over again, I should have passed on this race, because I was seeing signs of distress on all our runners. I was seeing sickness on our runners. All right, this was the Everest. Now, this was the one race that truthfully, that was the bad call for me, not looking what the markets were doing. The markets were telling me to back away from this race, and back away hard. So I went against my own judgment here, and I bet in the race, and you saw what happened. The winner was never losing, according to the markets. It was never losing, and I saw it and I knew it, but I thought, it's the Everest. Okay, and have a look. All our runners. The 1, Nature Strip. Remember what I keep saying to you. In Sydney, Metro on a Saturday, big bad blowers is toxic. They do win, but it's rare. They don't win that often. Okay? Now, we had the 1, the 2, the 4. The 4 just went sick. Then we had the 10. The 10 was sick, and then the 11. The 11 was, I'd say that they wanted it. Now, for me, why I bet was I was tempted by these prices. I thought, oh, geez, I'm getting some serious overs on all these runners here. So, I'm going to go in onto this race. But I was so worried about that 3. The 3 actually rated, okay? We got it a few weeks ago. Like, it's a good horse, and it rated, but we had it rated at like a 620 or something like that. So it was like, it was a horse that I thought, I can include you on the sheet, but I don't think I'm going to get your price. So there's no point adding on to the sheet. So as you can see now, we're 0 from 3, all right? And, but we've saved ourselves 3 races prior, and it just happens, again, where we got beaten by the favourite. So on the surface, I get it. 0 from 3, you're down 7 units or whatever units that you're down, okay? As I say, now there are the probabilities and the percentages working against you. We are doing multiple sheets. It's just how it is. You could see that the sheets are finding some of these runners and some of these winners, but it's just whether or not you're going to bet into the right race, and when you do, what's going to happen, right? So at that point, I aborted the meeting. It wasn't out of anything else bar I just thought the meeting itself was pretty hard, and I thought we're 0 from 3. And what I do sometimes, I do a calculation, and I said, right, we've got 3 more races left. Who do we have to beat? Right. So let's have a look at why I abort when I abort. Okay. So we look at race 8. Okay, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. So we've got a 63% pot. Right. So I looked at the 1, I looked at the 2. When I decided to abort, all right, we wanted 220. I said, okay, well that there at the time, I think it was about half an hour before the race. I said, I don't think this thing's going to ever hit $2.77. All right. Then we had the 7, and that got backed in, and then we had the 8. So when I was sitting here saying, well, what do I do here? There's a call that I have to make, all right, in order to, if we are going to make any money in the next 3 races. So we continued, all right. There was two options here. We dropped the 2, okay, and then we have to beat the 2 and the 11. Now it would have been a massive fill up had I dropped the 2 and gone with those 3 runners there, because with the winner, we ended up having the winner at 16-1 or whatever it was. It was 18-1. We had it rated, so we got price for it. But had we shifted the units onto these 3 runners, it would have been a big fill up. But number 2 was so well rated, and I didn't want to take it on. So I thought, well, if we were not going to get priced for the 2, it was going to be a big play. All right. Now, dropping 1.8 units, we would have had to spread the 1.8 units on these runners. So, it would have been whatever, So there was a big high-risk game playing in. Now, when you're down 7 or 8 units, I'm not trying to protect you. Far from it. But I have to make the call. Do I want to take it on the 2, the 11, and the 12? Because they were the 3 runners that I was concerned about. I'm pretty sure didn't make a call. But when we got a runner rated that price, all right, that's one of the top picks. Now, you got to remember, I'm making this call prior to the race, not after. Prior is always the most important thing. Anyone can do anything after the race. Anyone can blow up and complain after the race. Why did you do that? Why did you do this? All right. Now, I've had 3 races during the program that I've passed on that was a correct call. All right. Now, I was not going to drop the 2 and then have to take on the 2 and 11, and I wasn't going to take on my own data. So that's why I aborted, and that's why I passed in this particular race. These are the decisions you have to make. All right. Now, yes, we got the winner. Again, nothing wrong with the sheets. Sheets are fine in them. There's nothing wrong with the data. It's whether or not I decide whether or not let's have a bet. Now, if you are on your own, you can decide. You can say, well, you know what? I'm gonna trust the data. I'm gonna take on the 2, but then you're taking on the top picks, which is fine. We do it a lot of the times. But because we were down 0, we were 0 from 3. Okay, I didn't want to risk that we were going to be down further units. All right, had that not pulled. Now, as I said, if we had dropped the 2 and loaded up on the other runners, it would have been a big fill up. But that's the call that I made. All right, and that's what we all have to live with sometimes. And again, if you don't want to listen to my call and knock yourselves out, as I keep saying on text, if you want to ignore me, there are a lot of guys that do ignore me, that ride it out and go all the way to the end. This particular meeting, I didn't like the meeting itself, and that's why I said, right, we're just going to abort this meeting. See you later. And Murphy's Law will then always happens. It will always kick in. Now, but also too, I made the call because of the pots. I wasn't happy with the pots. All right, and when you're working with low pots and you're losing money, okay, you need to have a look at that and say, right, can I do further damage? If that was race 2 or race 3, I wouldn't have cared. But we're deep into the meeting. We're down 7.5 units. We now have got 2 races at the end that are 63% pot and 61% pot. So all we're doing there is we're looking for a bet. Okay. Yes, I get it. We've had an $18 winner, and we've had another $15 winner, and we could have come back and won units, but let's just say that I bet we kept going. All right, it could have been a potential 25 unit loss because the pots themselves are telling me warning, warning, warning. Now we go over to race 9, and we got the 2, we got the 1. Now, again, when I looked at the race, like before I made the decision to abort, that thing was 380. Now, we had it rated at 515. Now, when you're looking at that pot, all right, and you're making a call an hour and a half before you need to actually make the call, what to do here, all right, you're really struggling, and you're going to yourself, I'm dealing with a 61% pot. Now, we could have had a bet. Let's just say I continued, all right, we could have had a bet, but we weren't going to get priced for the 2, all right. So there's the 2 there. Now it never ever remotely came near 515, so we had to drop it anyway. So we were left with the 1 and the 5 so far. So if we had the 2, all right, then we had the 10. All right, have a look at the 10. We wanted 490. Tell me at one point did this horse hit 490? It never hit 490. It never. So we've got 2 runners basically that have to be dropped. So if we were betting following the rules, okay, it was a pass race. So when you see this and go, oh, there's another $15 winner. Oh, we've stuffed up. Why did we abort? We didn't. No, there's only one race we could have played in after we aborted, and that was race 8, and that's it. Okay, race 9, following the rules, we were never going to have a bet because it was a 61% pot. All right, 2 runners didn't even remotely come near our prices. Now, like, if we had dropped the 2, what price were we going to take? What were we going to take a horse rated at 5.15? Basically, the top that thing hit was 4.40. All right, and then what we're going to do with number 10? Which one do we drop? You see why when I make a decision to abort, I don't just go ahead and go, I've lost 3 races. No, I'm going ahead and looking at the last 3 or 4 races and what are the chances of us winning in the last 3 or 4 races, and what are the pots doing? So we've had a 63% pot in race 8, a 61% in race 9, okay, and we wouldn't have got price on 2 runners in race 9 anyway, so it was a no bet race. Simple as that. So we go to race 10. Okay, and this is again, if you had looked at the race, we've got a 65% pot race. All right, we've had number 5, which was I think it was a late scratching. Fair enough. Okay, number 6. Okay, we wanted 480. Okay, and that got matched. We wanted 13. That got matched, and then we looked at the 14 770. Well, it got matched, and the 15. It got matched. Now, as again, when I looked at the pot, when I was doing this before I aborted, all right, I had to look at the 6, the 14, and the 15. Now, look what the prices were an hour before whenever they jumped. That was fine. I think there was one here. And these things were hovering around my price. And as you all know, when I've got a low pot, we need way more than what, like our minimum rated price was 770. An hour and a half or whatever it was 650. So I just thought, well, I have to abort here. I've got no choice here. So look at this, 650. Don't forget about what it was doing at the end of the thing. I had to look at this an hour and a half before I decided to abort. Okay. So this particular race, we hit the mirror. All right. When I had to look to make the call, thing was paying 480, 440, low pot, just abort. And that's why I aborted the last 3 races after we'd lost 3 races. So as you can see, yes, we got 2 winners, but following the rules, we wouldn't have got 2 winners at the end, especially in race 9. It would have been even more heartbreaking dropping 2 runners and watching a 16-1 shot win. So that's why I abort a meeting. That's what my thought processes are when I'm doing this. Again, I don't abort for no reason. Everything is done mathematically, and I look ahead and I see what could be the damage. I mean, I have a probability, exposed. What can we win and what can we lose? Okay, so I have to factor all that in when I'm actually making a decision to abort. On Saturday, we were stiff. We had 3 betting races, and we got second on 3 betting races to basically all 3 favourites. And that happens. And then obviously when you abort, you think, oh well, we've aborted and we've had $15 winners. No, we didn't have $15 winners. We couldn't have bet in 2 of those races anyway. So, you must learn to trust that I know what I'm doing, because I do know what I'm doing. All right, and I just want to say one thing as well. It might seem like we're scattered. It might seem like I am all over the place. Trust me, I'm not. All right, I have worked for the corporate bookmakers before. Okay, I've been on the other side of the fence. And one of the tricks that they actually play is they work on the madness. They work on confusing you. They work on all of that. They throw what I like to call grenades at you all the time. And you got to keep ducking and weaving. You got to keep moving. You got to keep dodging. You got to keep sidestepping. Okay, they want the madness. They want you to be all over the place. Now, I'm actually so focused that you wouldn't believe how focused I am, because I'm sitting here and I have to ignore the landmines. I have to ignore the grenades. And what I have to do, I have to keep dodging and moving around and weaving and seeing what are they doing here? What are the tricks they're playing? Because I'm looking out, because I know what they do. They plant tricks on runners. They send out runners that shouldn't be those prices. Okay, and that's what I'm doing during the day. So when I'm navigating, sometimes I can't type fast enough. Sometimes I actually forget to actually even send a bet. All I have to do is, because I'm so concentrated on doing what the markets had shown me, okay, that I actually forget. And it's not that I'm sitting here and, sometimes I've had complaints, why didn't you send a text through? Well, because I'm sitting here looking at the markets, trying to win money for everybody. So, we are a live service when we're navigating. We're not some robotic service. And, when you're sitting here looking at Betfair, when you're looking at dynamic odds, and I've also got an inbuilt tracker in my database that I follow all the traders and what they're doing. I get live feeds every 30 seconds. So I'm not looking at one screen, I'm looking at 4 screens. Okay, so when I don't when we're navigating and sometimes a bet doesn't go through, it's probably because I just forgot. And I thought I would have sent it through and, I didn't, it didn't go through. So, here at Winning Edge, the service that we are offering you, you're not going to get it anywhere else. I understand that the Australian stuff at the moment is not going as well as it should, but trust me, it's going to pick up, all right? And the navigation is the key to how we're going to go. There are calls that I make that might upset people, and they might think, why did he do that for? Because I did it to make sure that you're not losing. That's the only reason why I do things. My whole objective is to make sure that you guys are winning. It's certainly not for you guys to be losing. It's the last thing that I want. So when I do make these calls, wherever call, there's always a reason behind it, and it's what I think live at the time. It's not something that I make lightly. It's not a decision I just do willy-nilly. I make it now, and like I keep saying to everybody, if I can get it right 70% of the time, then we will win. And I thought on Saturday that the calls that I made were probably about 70% correct. There wasn't any decisions in there that I thought that were poor. Maybe there could have been an argument for probably hanging around for race 8. But, that's, again, it's a 50-50 call that I have to make. All right? Thanks, guys.